Today on the Comic Book Show, Comicfest, Demolition Man.
Welcome to the Comic Book Show, the only TV show about comics, your central authority for cartoons, comic books, and collectibles, and Comicfest. Welcome to the big Comicfest show. I'm your host, Tony.
And I'm Nikki, Tony's co-host.
And this is show number 5, October 30th, 1993. Let's get right into the super movie.
Today's super movie is Demolition Man, Fly vs. Night. Here's some clips.
Maniac is imminent. Request advice.
With a firm tone of voice, demand Maniac lie down with hands behind back.
Simon Phoenix, lie down with your hands behind your back.
What's this? 6 of you. Such nice, tidy uniform. Oh, I'm so scared. What, you guys don't have sarcasm anymore?
Maniac has responded with a scornful remark.
Approach and repeat ultimatum in an even firmer tone of voice. Add the words, or else.
Simon Phoenix, lie down on the ground, or else.
Demolition Man, for me, was a fantastic movie. I mean, honestly, I have not seen a movie this good since Cameron's Terminator 2. I mean, Snipes had the best lines, the funniest jokes, that he was still this real bad, evil guy, and Sylvester Stallone was just so good in this movie, so tough. Hey.
You just like his butt. I mean, I like Snipes too. I think he really stole the movie. He was the funniest thing in this movie. I think Stallone was his typical grim self, sort of moping around the movie, not really doing anything different that I've seen from him. Sylvester Stallone, I don't know. His fight scenes are always the same. The bad guy beats the hell out of him, and then at the last 2 seconds of the fight, he somehow turns around and beats him. There was also plot holes in this movie that you could drive a truck through, but it's entertaining enough that you can pretty much ignore them. So let's rate this sucker on the Mighty Meter. The Mighty Meter rates things from 1 to 5, 5 being mighty good and 1 being mighty lousy. I'm going to give Demolition Man 4.5.
I'll give it a 4.5 too, only because they never did explain how the 3 seashells work.
I can't believe you compared it to Terminator 2, which on my scale would rate like a 9.
If you want to talk about holes in the plot, watch Terminator 2.
Oh, please. I don't even want to get into the Terminator argument. The whole time travel thing makes my head explode. Let's get into the Comicfest footage. That's what this show is all about, Comicfest. We went to Comicfest. We interviewed just about everybody there. We've got great interviews with comic book artists, celebrities, beautiful women in tight outfits.
Kyle from Image Comics.
Kyle from Image Comics. And here it is. The Wizard booth with Palmiotti and Casada. The men, the myth, the legend. That's right. Well, we got too many people. We have to go by last names. And K.
Pa and Q.
Pa
P
and
and Q. P and Q.
So what do you guys, explain to the fans, maybe people who don't know you guys, some of the projects you've been working on, some pretty important projects.
I guess you could, Ninjak. And we're working on Ninjak. And also I'm working on Ninjak too. And the upcoming Ninjak project. Which comes out in November. Which is probably in November. Right. I designed the new Batman. See, so actually I designed Azrael, who became the new Batman, and then I did the cover to Batman 500.
Was it your decision to make Azrael the Batman?
No, they came to me with the idea for Azrael. The pitch was, you do Azrael, he becomes the next Batman, do you want to do it? I said, okay.
So you knew right from the beginning that Azrael was going to be the new Batman?
Yeah, about a year and a half before it actually happened, I knew about it and had to keep my mouth shut.
So then you know what's going to happen to Azrael in the future?
Yes.
So what happens?
I think I'm going to tell you. I'm making X for Dark Horse Comics. And
you'll be working regularly on the title?
Oh, yeah, monthly. Plus I do solo monthly and inker. And I have an upcoming Thanos book that I'm doing, just issue 1. That's all they wanted me for.
What's the deal with Ninjak? What's like his powers?
All right. He has no powers. Ninjak, imagine taking Bruce Lee, Batman, and James Bond, and smashing them all together. He's a magnificent detective, and of course, womanizer, and just like one of the world's greatest samurai, swordsman, ninja kind of guys. Sherlock Holmes, everything. He's everything. He's everything. He's you.
Great.
It could be.
It could be. Is there any talk of Ninjak crossovers? Ninjak versus Batman, something like that?
No, nothing like that. What we have planned. See, this is great. After Ninjak 1 and 2 come out, like one after, then 3 comes out. Somewhere along the line, around 5, I think he actually meets Exo Man of War, which is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. Visually. Exo is kind of like Conan and Iron Man smashed together. Right, man in a can.
Paul Miotti and Casada here at Comicfest. Let's go to the other side of Fest and see what Nikki's doing.
Now we're here with Tony Isabella. Hi, how are you, Tony?
Real good. How are you?
Good. So tell me, how did you actually get started into the comic book industry?
I learned to read from comic books before I even went to kindergarten. And somewhere around 6th or 7th grade, I realized that people got paid for writing comic books and couldn't think of a better way of making a living.
Okay. Tell me about Satan 6. What is this book about?
Satan 6 is about a group of lost souls who aren't good enough to be in heaven, aren't bad enough to go to hell. So they made a deal with the devil to win souls for Satan in order to earn their way into hell. It's an action comedy book. Think of it as Gilligan's Island in the supernatural. Just as Gilligan and crew never get off the island, Satan 6 and crew never actually win a soul for Satan.
Oh, great. What was it like working with the infamous Jack Kirby on this project?
Well, Jack is one of the men that got me into comics, his early work for Marvel Comics. And Jack has always been one of the most generous men in comics. He had written and drawn 8 pages of a Satan 6 story, basically handed them off to me and said, go with it. So I pretty much developed the series from Jack's original concept and those 8 pages.
Wow. Are there any other industry greats that really influenced you to get into comics?
Oh, sure. Stan Lee, who worked with Jack Kirby on the Marvel stuff. Stan and Jack were my biggest influences. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have gone into the comics field. And Stan was my first boss in comics. I started at Marvel Comics. And along the years, I had gotten to work with all of the original Marvel artists except Jack Kirby. He was never at Marvel at the same time I was. But thanks to editor Jim Salicrup from Topps, I finally got to complete my set, as it were, and work with Jack.
That's it for Tony Isabella and the Topps booth.
Ow! Gumby, come on, knock it off. Ow, come on. Gumby, let go. Gumby, you're not supposed to do this. Come on. Ow, Gumby. Ow, come on. Oh, Gumby.
You've got to fight hate. You've got to make a stand. That's what the X-Men are all about. Man or mutant, it's all the same. The fight against evil. Marvel Comics X-Men, today's most popular superheroes. Saturday morning's hottest TV show. And America's favorite comic book. Marvel Comics X-Men. Head-banging, pulse-racing action. Isn't it time to see what the shouting's all about?
Available at Amazing Comics, 928 Fitzwater in Philadelphia.
Hey, where do you race? Golden Hobbies, the place to race on Ariel Road in Pine Hill. Radio-controlled cars and trucks is just the beginning. Indoor and outdoor tracks, radio-controlled cars and accessories, parts and servicing, weekly races, monthly and annual championships. Bring the family. Golden Hobbies is the place to race. Mention this ad and register to win a radio-controlled car. For the best selection in mainstream and independent comics, visit the Comic Collection on Bustleton Avenue and Street Road in Feasterville. We have the largest backstock variety in the area, reliable subscription service, used and new compact discs, and a full range of comic-related merchandise. Our courteous staff is available to answer all of your questions. Mention this comic book show ad and first-time customers receive a free issue of Legends of the Dark Knight. That's the Comic Collection in Feasterville for the serious comic book collector.
DC. Incredible. Action. Astonishing. Adventure. The coolest heroes. The hottest heroines. And the most outrageous villains. Too tough for TV. In the universe.
These ain't your daddy's comic books, fanboy.
DC Comics.
Available at Marvel Comics in Princeton and New Brunswick.
Welcome back to the comic book show. Thanks for waiting.
Now we are here with Norm Brayfogle, famous right now for Prime from Malibu. How you doing, Norm?
I'm doing pretty good.
Great. Now tell me about Prime, what you're doing for Malibu. What's this all about? It looks great and great story.
I guess Prime could best be described as a modern-day Captain Marvel, or Captain, the guy that said Shazam. Yeah, Captain Marvel. He's a 13-year-old kid, and instead of having a lightning bolt come down and having a magical origin, it's a pseudo-scientific origin. And he was one of about 80 or 90 children that were experimented on back in the 60s in a secret government experiment with what they call a wetware virus, which is one of the science fiction concepts that revolve around in the Ultraverse and are responsible for a number of different superheroes and villains. And when he reached pubescence, spontaneously he exploded into Prime, and this body comes blowing out of his chest and forms around him, costume and all. And then inside the Prime body, Kevin is still in there, but it's like his nervous system switches off at a certain point in the transformation, and Prime's kicks in. They share the same memories and the same brain and everything. He doesn't gain the wisdom of Solomon like Billy Batson did when he changed into Captain Marvel. It's like a grittier version of Captain Marvel.
What made you want to get in the comics industry in the first place?
Good question. Before I could read, I remember my mother reading Superman and Batman comics to me, and of course there was the Superman and Batman TV shows. But it was basically that. That's why I was into DC instead of Marvel more when I was a kid, too, just because Marvel didn't have a lot of multimedia marketing like DC did at the time.
Are there any other people in the industry that influence you or that you look up to?
Certainly. Before that, however, my dad used to draw Superman for me when I was really young. And that must have had a big influence on me, too, made me want to draw. And maybe it's genetic, who knows, maybe it's cultural. We're a very visual culture, but I wanted to draw all along, and I wanted to do it as a hobby. I wanted to be an astronomer, get into natural sciences, but once I realized that I'd put a lot of effort and developed a certain amount in my drawing ability, I decided I should make that a career. Oh, Neil Adams was an influence. Frank Miller was an influence for a while. Bernie Wrightson, the classics as well. I used to have a subscription to American Artist magazine when I was in grade school, and that influenced me a lot. I love doing full-color paintings. The classics, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. The Impressionists made a big impression on me.
Norm Brayfogle, Prime, Metaphysique coming out, all kinds of great stuff. Check it out. He's one of the best in the industry today.
Okay, I'm over here at the ElfQuest booth with Richard and Wendy Peeney, the two people who are behind the ElfQuest. You are like the king and queen of elves. Is that basically correct?
I think that's a fair assumption, yes.
That's true. There have been elves before, but there have never been elves like ours.
Well, why don't you tell everybody out there, give us a little background on ElfQuest. I know you guys have been around for like 15 years.
Oh, Lord. Well, 25 words or less, what ElfQuest is about is we have a group of characters. They're not native to this very primitive world. They come here from somewhere else, and everybody hates them. So the quest of the title, at least the original one, is their search for a safe place to live. And in the process of many, many issues that span many years of comics, they discover that the safe place is wherever they are because they've found their home in themselves. And that's ElfQuest.
We're a very evenly divided team. When we created ElfQuest back in 1977, it pretty much fell into the pattern that I was essentially I came up with a skeleton idea for the story, and then Richard and I would co-plot it, I would script it, I would draw it, I would pencil it, I would letter it, I would do everything. And Richard then would edit it and publish it. And we learned all of it from the seat of our pants.
Tell us a little bit about some of the upcoming projects for ElfQuest. I understand there's going to be a movie.
Well, the list is almost too numerous to mention, but since you brought up the movie, we'll talk about that first. We just recently closed a movie development deal with Ed Pressman, the producer of, oh goodness, the 2 Conan films, Wall Street, any number of Oliver Stone films. He's also producing a Judge Dredd film, and The Crow is going to be released soon.
Well, for most of our 15 years, it was Wendy and I, and we put out one title. And in the beginning, we put out one title every 4 months, and it drove fans mad waiting for it. And we stepped that up to bi-monthly. But just recently, we decided to expand the universe of ElfQuest to let other artists and writers work in it, because we'd gotten expressions of interest from people. So we now have the original ElfQuest title, which is called ElfQuest Hidden Years, which is an ongoing story. We spun off something called ElfQuest New Blood, which is going to take some of the characters from Hidden Years and spin them off on their own adventure. We have a third title called Blood of 10 Chiefs, which are adaptations of short stories written by various science fiction and fantasy authors. And in December, we'll have a fourth ElfQuest title called Wave Dancers, which follows the adventures of a group that split off right from the beginning and went to live in the sea. And it's we like to call it Little Mermaid on steroids, because it's a very sensuous, very, very well-drawn series about these underwater creatures.
Well, that's it from the ElfQuest booth. Let's go around to the fest. We're here at the Comicfest. This is day 4. Day 4, day 5, I don't know. It's the last day, and I'm very tired. So let's go see what Nikki's doing.
Comicfest 93 is continuing, and are you ready for this? We have now reached the booth of Defiant. Yes, and we are now joined by Jim Shooter. Hi, Jim. How you doing?
Good, Nikki. How are you?
Good. So tell me about Defiant. What really is this company all about?
Well, Defiant is about the realization of dreams. It's a bunch of people, all of them who have been through a lot in their lives, but still have that fire in the belly and want to do it right. So it's a bunch of people who are old enough to know how to do it and young enough to still be able to do it, and we're really putting it together here and building a universe.
Great. What do you think Defiant has to offer comic book readers that other companies don't?
I think that we're the storytellers. I think that when I started my last company, the business had gone in the direction of just doing collectibles and holograms and stuff, and we started doing story again, because that's what all my training is, all my background is, and it was a success. And I think that with the same people have gathered again to build this company, and we've gotten even some more people who I think are the business's greatest storytellers, guys like Chris Claremont, Len Wein, Dave Cockrum, people who are franchise builders, people who build universes and build worlds and love to work in continuity with each other. And as far as I'm concerned, we're the team to beat. We have all the best storytellers in the business, and the best creators in the business, guys like Alan Weiss and guys like David Lapham and Jan Childress, who's here, who's working on The Good Guys with us, and an artist named Gray, who won't let me use his real name. But we have some great people, and I think it's all coming together.
Great. What made you want to get started in comics in the first place?
Well, when I was 13 years old, I needed to make some money, and they wouldn't give me a job at the steel mill, so I said, well, gee, what can I do? And I decided I could, I love comics, and maybe I could do a comic book that I could sell. And I did, and DC Comics bought it. I started writing Superman, and then learned from experts in the field, was taught by Mort Weisinger and Stan Lee, worked my way up through the business until I was editor-in-chief of Marvel, and then I started my own company, and now I started this company.
There's a little bit of controversy about Warriors of Plasma. Any comments about this lawsuit thing that Marvel Comics seems to be real happy to publicize about lately?
Well, we were sued by Marvel. They said that they had a character called Plasma, which hasn't seen print yet, and they sued us that we were infringing on their name. In fact, we got the verdict last week, and the verdict is we win. Marvel was slammed down on every point. The judge found in our favor on every single point, and when he was all done reading his verdict, he said to their lawyer, "Haven't we had about enough of this?" I said, "Yes." So as far as I'm concerned, goodness and virtue triumph again.
Well, that's it for Defiant. They're victorious. Come check this stuff out. Jim Shooter, Nikki, Comicfest 93.
Hi from the Comic Fest, and the Comic Book Show will be right back. The Comic Book Show is sponsored in part by
Masterstroke Sports Cards and Comic Books in the Frankfurt Hall Family Fun Center in Philadelphia. Mention TCBS and receive 20% off purchases of $10 or more. Call 533-0443.
The Comic Book Show gets all its costumes from Captain Costume, 412 White Horse Pike in Stratford, New Jersey. Call 609-783-9852. Captain Costume!
Have you called Bill Cole Enterprises yet? Have you? You have not? Well, you better call them, because they make Mylar Snugs and comic book preservation supplies. Bill Cole Enterprises. These are the same people that supply the Library of Congress and the National Archives. They don't mess around. They keep the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence fresh. Think of what they could do for your comic books. And not just Mylar Snugs. No. Acid-free backing boards, boxes, Mylites for every age of comic book. Everything is color-coded, so you don't get confused. Blue for Silver and Golden Age, black for current comics, and even purple for magazines. And now they have Mylar Snugs for ash cans. Will you listen to me? Ash cans! Bill Cole Enterprises, available at your local comic book store, or send away for their free catalog of preservation supplies. It's free. You just have to write them a letter. Bill Cole Enterprises, P.O. Box 60, Department CD, Randolph, Massachusetts, 023680060. Or to place an order, call 617-986-2653. Bill Cole Enterprises. Ask for them. Ask for them. By name.
You gotta fight hate. You gotta make a stand. That's what the X-Men are all about.
Man or mutant, it's all the same. The fight against evil.
Marvel Comics X-Men, today's most popular superheroes.
Saturday morning's hottest TV show.
And America's favorite comic books.
Marvel Comics X-Men.
Head-banging, pulse-racing action.
Isn't it time to see what the shouting's all about?
Available at Amazing Comics, 928 Fitzwater in Philadelphia.
Welcome back to the Comic Book Show. All right, we're sitting in the Batmobile now. We're going to give you a little tour. This is the original Batmobile. It was salvaged from a junkyard and all refurbished. You can see some of the cool things they have in the car. That's the turn button that used to turn the car completely around. Smoke bomb, of course, the anti-theft device, which I believe was the ejection seat. Some other buttons here. I got like a speed racer thing going on the steering wheel, which is kind of cool. See if the horn works? No. Batman's got to fix his horn. EMG lights, nail spread, oil squirt. Oh, and we even got like a cassette radio in here, so Batman could listen to some tunes. What do you got on your side of the car, Nick?
Over on Robin's side of the car, we have the bat screen, missing bat phone, a really cool radar scope. Looks like a LR left-right turn signal type thing. It kind of looks like an ashtray, a hazard light, and a really cool mat down here with a fluorescent orange bat. It's really cool.
And you can see in the back that Batman had Kenwood speakers, so Batman really know how to listen to some tunes if he wanted to. Let's swing around the back. We can show that neat rocket part, and I'll see if I can get the thing to ignite. I don't think there's any gas in this thing. That's it for the Batmobile. Let's walk around the fest and check out some other stuff.
Comicfest 93 had something to offer everyone this year. Mark Schultz, the creator of Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, held a speech. Scott McCloud, the author of Understanding Comics, had his seminar. Harlan Ellison gave a speech to benefit the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. And Jim Shooter held a seminar on how to create your own comic book, which also benefited the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. Malibu hosted a casino night for its VIP guests and retailers. But the two biggest events of the Comic Fest were the Wizard Awards, which honored industry professionals, and the debate between Spawn's creator Todd McFarlane and writer Peter David. There's a good reason that Todd is wearing a towel.
Well, that's right. Comicfest 93 on the Mighty Meter. The Mighty Meter rates things from 1 to 5, and I'm going to give Comicfest a 4.5 only because parking was a nightmare. It was my first big fest. I enjoyed it.
I will give Comicfest the same as Tony, a 4.5, because it was really great. It was a great show. They didn't get the 70,000 they were aiming for, but a lot of great talent. The programs were great. Jim Shooter's seminar was so cool. And it was nice to have such a good show, such a big show, so close to home.
Yeah, it's officially the largest in the country now.
Yeah.
The final total was 31,660 people showed up for the big fest.
The comic book show will be right back.
Hey, where do you race? Golden Hobbies, the place to race on Ariel Road in Pine Hill. Radio-controlled cars and trucks is just the beginning. Indoor and outdoor tracks, radio-controlled cars and accessories, parts and servicing, weekly races, monthly and annual championships. Bring the family. Golden Hobbies is the place to race. Mention this ad and register to win a radio-controlled car.
You gotta fight hate. You gotta make a stand. That's what the X-Men are all about.
Man or mutant, it's all the same. The fight against evil.
Marvel Comics X-Men, today's most popular superheroes.
Saturday morning's hottest TV show.
And America's favorite comic books.
Marvel Comics X-Men.
Head-banging, pulse-racing action.
Isn't it time to see what the shouting's all about?
Available at Amazing Comics, 928 Fitzwater in Philadelphia.
Welcome to Celebrity Corner. I'm here with Gary Delabate of The Howard Stern Show. Gary, I'd like to ask you what sort of comics you collect, if you collect them, and what sort of comics that the crew of The Howard Stern Show collects.
Well, I'm not really that much of a comic book collector. I'm more of an animation art collector. But is Mad Magazine a comic?
Yeah.
I like that, man. I could read that forever, man. That's like everybody's childhood. I think Howard likes to look at Superman and Spider-Man. He likes mostly that sort of stuff.
What are some of the animation cells that you have in your collection?
Oh, a very vast collection. I'm a big Warner Brothers collector. I have a bunch of Bugs Bunnies, Chris Freeling, have some Bob Clampetts. I have a Marvin Martian, like the shirt says. I've got Gossamer, which is the monster, big red-headed monster with the tennis sneakers. And then I have a bunch of Hanna-Barbera. But the best cell I have is I was out in Hanna-Barbera out in Los Angeles, and they made a cell for me. It's Baba Louie, Quick Joe McGraw, and myself all in one cell. And then I met Joe Barbera and Bill Hanna, and they signed it for me. That's the one that's my favorite one.
Wow. That's it this week for the Comic Book Show. Tune in next week. We're going to have more Comic Fest footage.
And we'll be reviewing MST 3000, so all you Misties be watching.
And for all you Image fans, an interview with Todd McFarlane.
Great interview.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bill Cole Enterprises is the exclusive supplier of comic book preservation supplies to the Comic Book Show. Ask for their products by name. And remember, when you go to your local comic store, say you saw it on the Comic Book Show.
Oh, my God, this Comic Fest is killing me. I'm so tired. Wait a minute. Where's the equipment? Gary!
Hold on, I'm coming, Bob.